out there?
No, we don't.
Don't tell that woman the name shit.
By the Interior Department and saying that it cannot accept preconditions. Is that not the case?
That's right.
Yes, right now.
Yep. Gentlemen, we will have more copies of the press release. We only have 7, but we're making some more. Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, even before the state of California was incorporated. And it has been exclusive federal jurisdiction ever since.
Would you station troops out there or Coast Guard personnel during the time that from this time forward?
Yes, there will be caretakers for the island posted there, and in addition, it would be certainly my advice locally to individual private ship owners that they not attempt to go near the island, at least for the present, until things are more secure.
Will they be civilian caretakers or what?
At the present time, it's anticipated, perhaps Mr. Hannon would like to answer that question. The island is actually, the title is with the General Services Administration, and it will be primarily, at least for the present, Mr. Hannon's responsibility to secure and maintain the island.
We already have out there federal protective officers, federal people.
Are they
Well,
armed?
are they armed?
Are they armed?
They are armed.
They are armed.
Are they GSA uniform guards?
Yes.
How many of them are there?
I couldn't tell you. Some of them are on the way out now. We will add as many more as necessary.
Could you give us an estimate of how many there are?
I assume that with the marshals who are still out there and others, that probably 5 to 10 guards are out there now, with additional ones being called in and sent out there.
Hey, watch it.
I seen 2 white people standing over by the kitchen. I decided to come down and see why they were there, why white people were on the island in the first place, and why they haven't got them kicked off. And so I decided I'd try and get them kicked off. See, the next thing I knew, there were all these dudes running around with shotguns and clubs, man, saying, "Don't move, stay right where you are," and saying, "Come over here," all at the same time, man. Then they went and brought some brothers and sisters down out of the apartments there, and they had all these other dudes lined up against the wall, man.
Okay, how many were on the island? How many came on the island?
There was about, how many white people?
Yeah.
I don't know. There was about 20, maybe more.
Okay, what kind of guns did they have?
They had shotguns and clubs.
Okay, and what did they say they were doing?
They just said that we all have to get off the island. They said something about putting a lighthouse back in order, some kind of excuse like that. And that's all they were, excuses. That's all white people are full of. History books are full of excuses.
What had started as a symbolic invasion in November of 1969 and later turned into a bitter struggle for the small band of Indians who vowed to hold Alcatraz forever was ended here today.
You've got to do it! What happened after you were searched then?
Then they told me they told us to stand in one place, so we stood there, and then they they took us down to the docks, and they took the women and children on one boat, and then they took us on another boat and took us over to Treasure Island.
Here's the thing, is we were negotiating with the government on the quiet. The meeting started April the 13th of this year, and they guaranteed us during these meetings that there would be no arrest and no one would be taken off the island. There would be no action taken against the people on the island until the negotiations were completed, and they broke their word on it.
Have you been given any reason for today's action?
We've heard nothing official to us. The one reason we heard through our attorney was that they supposedly arrested some people for selling copper, and that's why they went in. And another reason we heard on the radio was that they wanted to put their navigational equipment out there.
Mr. Browning had a press conference. He mentioned something about the theft of, I think, $680 worth of copper wire. Does you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that, but Mr. Browning told us that we wouldn't be harassed in any way until the negotiations were over. So
he
Mr.
said you
Browning
weren't harassed, John.
Coming out there and taking the people off the island without their possessions is harassment. Bringing armed people out there is harassment. When they gave us their word that there would be no action taken against us while negotiations were going on.
Were you negotiating?
I was one of the negotiators.
What were the negotiations?
We'll have the names. We had people from Washington, D.C., the Justice Department. We had people from HEW. And the government wanted to give us money on the island. We couldn't come to terms on it because we didn't want money. But the one word that went out in the beginning was that there would be no action taken against Alcatraz Indians as long as the negotiations were being conducted.
Fuck you up. Okay, excuse me.
This is some of the other buildings. That one over there.
I was sitting in a friend's room, and another guy came up and said there were 2 armed reporters on the lower level. Well, not
reporters?
Yeah, he said that, well, you see, one agent had a camera, and so that's the reason he thought they were armed reporters. And I went down there, and I looked at him, and I ran back up, and I told this other guy that there were some people down there with rifles. So we went down there, and just as we got down there, the whole courtyard was covered with FBI agents with rifles. FBI agents and marshals, I guess. They all had rifles and shotguns.
What did they say?
They didn't say anything, because I walked out. Well, I turned around and I started to walk back in the building, and they hollered at me and told me to come on out. And so I went out, and they searched me.
U.S. Attorney, in talking about this, mentioned that there was a theft of $680 worth of copper wire, I believe. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know. People are full of lies, man. I don't believe them. I don't believe white people. I've come to be very suspicious of them.
Was there any trouble in the whole incident?
No physical trouble, no. No. How could we resist? We were unarmed. They took our knives, and so therefore we were unarmed against shotguns and clubs, man. What could we do?
In November, laid out on the horizon on the Golden Gate, down the pipe. We have not yet received a formal message stating get a good picture of it.
Power to the Indian people! Rick the guy in the hair one! Rick the guy in the hair one!
Who's having the,
I believe it's a fair statement to say that the maritime unions, maritime associations, as well as the government are in complete agreement that it is necessary to restore the lighthouse and the fog signals on the island if we are to avert the possibility of another serious collision, possibly between tankers or other ships.
Mr. Browning.
This was an intolerable situation that could not go on indefinitely.
The one thing, the significant thing that's been accomplished by Alcatraz is whether we won the physical part of the island or not. We never sold ourselves out. We never compromised. We went for the whole cup of cake. And if we don't get it, but we're bringing people to our side. Because there's a lot of Indians aren't going to like this.
Is it true, John, that
Defeat. Nah, man, there is no such thing as defeat. You know, when they start kicking you around, you know, you just got to learn to bandage up the bruises, see? So you can stand up again. They didn't beat us.
Yeah, Roger. Which side they want the barge on? You got to leave on the overseas for Dr. Exchange over. 900.
Just a few days ago, through their attorney, we received the word that in the event the government would not imminently present to them some proposal giving them either use or title to the island, that they were prepared to, quote, do something, unquote, in respect to the island.
Is this one of the reasons that you took them off today?
Yes.
Keep them from doing something?
Yes.
How seriously will the government resist any further invasions of the island?
The government is prepared to protect the perimeter of that island at the present time. We think we will be able to do that. It is and always has been exclusive federal property.
Rick the guy in the hair one! Rick the guy in the hair one!
It's what we're accomplishing by here is Alcatraz never sold out. The government offered us money for the island, which went through these current negotiations starting April the 13th. They offered us money and we told them no. They offered us a lease. We told them no. We said we want to talk about when you're going to turn the deed over to us. The one thing, the significant thing that's been accomplished by Alcatraz is whether we want the physical part of the island or not. We never sold ourselves out. We never compromised. We went for the whole cup of cake. And if we don't get it, well, we're bringing people to our side. Because a lot of Indians aren't going to like this.
Is it true, John, that...
Defeat? Nah, man, there is no such thing as defeat. You know, when they start kicking you around, you know, you just got to learn to bandage up the bruises, see? So you stand up again. They didn't beat us.
The operation this morning was precipitated by the theft of some government property off the island, which came to our attention this morning, consisting of some copper cable, which was sold on the mainland according to a complaint which was filed this afternoon against 3 persons who are in custody for a sum of $680 at a local metal company. The government has attempted, I believe, in the past to exert its right of access to the island for the purpose of investigating crimes, for the purpose of the possibility of apprehending fugitives who may be on the island. And each time this has occurred, the government has been met with some sort of resistance on the part of the Indian group in recent months.
Is there any chance that the Alcatraz Indians may try to return to the island?
Well, I can't tell you that. If that is going to happen, it would be foolish for me to say it.
Do you have any specific legal action you're planning to take?
I don't know. We're going to see what kind of legal action they're taking. See, here's the deal is, like, I think the one important thing that comes out of this is that the government gave us their word through their negotiators that nothing would happen. And they came out there and they took our people off the island. And all this is going to narrow down for our own Indian people. This is going to benefit Indian people throughout the country, because here's the thing, is like, Indians know whose side the government's on. The government don't lie to you and then go out there and do something against you.
Did the Indians have any doubt as to who was on their side before this?
Well, we have, see, like, all right, every day you got to do a little something to get a little people on your side. Now, we've got Indian people that know that they've got their questions or dislikes against the government, but when they see the government come out and commit actions like this against us, the government is talking about honor in Vietnam, and it comes out here and lies to Indians. Just because we're Indians, that don't mean they lie to us.
While removing the Indians have solved one problem for the government, it surely will present a multitude of others. For now, the question follows, what's to become of the island? Belva Davis for Eyewitness News in the Bay off Alcatraz.